Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today. I wanted to share with you a little mini album that I made out of almond cardstock, capturing COVID Life 2020. This little album here I created for a challenge for a weekend retreat that I went on, and it was to capture 2020 and use specifically bluebell and some bling sparkly items, and I decided to put it together one that I have created myself. I'll have a little flip through of it. It ties together and I'll show you how it all works. And it's basically like an accordion type album. And I've captured things using the In This Together papers, which are still available, and the stickers are still available as well. So this is a sticker. I've put these little black bursts on a lot of the pages because they remind me of the coronavirus. And I've just done some little bullet journaling about what happened during the year. So I'll just quickly flip through this so you can have a look. You can see I've used the stickers, put them across. I've kept the same format all the way through with this book. There's paper on one side, plain on the other, and little journaling strips, and basically 3x3 inch photos. And what it does is just put all the little COVID experiences that we experienced in one tiny little place as a memory book, but I've also used memes and things like that, and it folds out like an accordion. But there's also photos on the back. And this one here I've cut a bit wider so that it wraps around. And on the very back page, I have put some specific details. And you can see the theme goes along the same way all the way through. I've tried to group things together like Zoom calls, how we started ordering food, my first experience of menu log and getting delivery through there that one of the children ordered, which was rather cool, I thought. Doing craft online classes, going out and meeting friends when we were able to because we were in severe lockdown and only allowed to stay within 5 kilometres of our own homes. So this book I thought this format would make a very cute little gift for a new baby. So this just all wraps around like this. You can decorate the spine area. I love these black bursts. And then you just tie it up. So that's using the In This Together papers, and the sticker sheet, which is specifically designed for lockdowns and COVID and the pandemic. But I wanted to take this and make a little keepsake for a new baby. One that I could either put photos in or gift for people to print and use. And what I've done, I've decorated the spine. This one's a little bit smaller. So this is a 4x4 inch. All the pattern papers are 3.75 inch squares, and the white are all 3-inch squares, and the theme goes all the way through with this. And I've used the promotion that's on now for National Scrapbooking Day, which ends at the end of May, so there's still time to order it. The Sending You Hugs collection, which comes with lovely paper, the actual lovely paper, which is out of the core catalogue. And I thought these 3 images here were so sweet and would make an adorable little mini album. You can see here I've stamped this image so that it looks like it's peeking up, and when I know who I'm going to give this to, I will put the name of the baby here. This one, I haven't done it on that one. I'll have to do that later. I've done the whole image and I've used the Bluebell shimmer brush. But these are the lovely papers, so I've selected some of those and just repeated it throughout to make this accordion style album. So these ones that are peeking up through here within the album have got room for journaling. And I've decorated this one with the In This Together dots, but the Daisy Meadow dots would work just as well, or the black and white dots, and then you can colour them with the markers. And then when you flip it over, this will be the back page. it's the same sort of thing all the way through. So you can see the theme of it here, and it would make a super cute little gift. This format would also work really well in a Story by Stacey mini album, but I decided I've got a lot of almond cardstock. We all have a lot of cardstock, and I thought it would be fun to make like a little brag book. I could gift this to a grandma. I could put even photos of a small child on here and make it for them to look back on for funny little things that they do throughout their young years. So a little baby album as a brag book or as a keepsake. If you didn't want to have it this way, you could also do it almost like one that you could hang and do a vertical one rather than a horizontal. So lots of options with this style. So basically what I've got to make this is almond cardstock that I've cut at these measurements here. So they're all 4 inches. So this one shrunk down a little bit. This Co-Vid one measures 5.5 by 4 inches. So it's the same principle as what I'm going to make today. And I will speed up the process so that you don't have to watch the whole entire thing. Now for the front page, I've actually put an F on here so I remember. 8.5 by 4 inches, score at 4 and 8 inches. And then to assemble it, we've got a 12-inch piece that's scored at 4 inches and 8 inches. And then the next piece is the same as this front one. You could mix this around as long as you have the front and the back. This piece at the back is just a little bit different. So 8.5 by 4 inches again, scored at 4 and 8. And the back piece here is the one that's a little bit different because I want the bit that will wrap around to create like a little spine so that when it's sitting on a shelf, that's where the ribbon goes around. So this one is 5.25 by 4 inches, is scored at 3/4 of an inch and 4 3/4. So let's get into the assembly. For projects like this that there's a lot of handling, you really need to use a very strong adhesive. So I use this red line tape, but you could use liquid glass. So I will start folding these over, and I'll get my bone folder and give it a nice sharp crease. But I've pre-scored all of these. You can use, I have a score pal, but you can do this in your paper trimmer and just run your bone folder down. So the idea of this is to put the like sides. So we have 2-toned cardstock. So I want to match up the light side with the light side. So this piece here is going to adhere to this one here. So I'll just get the red tape and cut some lengths and stick this along. And then I'm going to match this one up. This is the longer piece that doesn't have the fold to wrap around, so I'm putting that one next. And then I can continue with my folding to make sure everything is lining up nicely. And then this one comes back. And then I need to adhere the next piece that's got the wraparound, remembering that this one that's a bit of a different length is my very last one to do. So I'm going to fold this over. It's the little flap that will secure the long pieces together. Match up my colours and repeat the process. And adhere these two pieces together, lining it up with that fold. And then I have the last remaining piece. So I always want to make sure that I put the similar colours together. So this is my front, and then this is the flap that's going to come around at the back. Now I've allowed room for this, and I can trim it off later if I need to, depending on how thick this all is. So sometimes it's better to have a little bit extra hanging off the edge here if you want to do the wraparound piece. So I've got these in the order that I want them. And as I said, these pieces, oh, sorry, they're not 3.75, they're 3.5. So the facing page is 4 inches, the pattern pieces are 3.5 inch squares, and the white are 3 inch squares. So now that I've put that one there, I'm going to open this up so that I can just quickly run through and adhere the other pieces. So I've got all the pieces in, and then I have the little end pieces for the spine, and these measure 3.5 inches and 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to adhere those to the spine area. And then what I can do later is put the name of the child along there. And then I'll do the inside piece as well. So this is my front and this is my back. So on the front, I'm going to replicate what I did with this one, and I'm also going to do a quick colouring in of this and decorate around the outside. So I've stamped these with intense black because they're very, very good with using alcohol markers, and from this stamp set there's a little stitched line and there's some cute little icons in here as well, and I've just chosen to keep it the same all the way through. I've chosen this little heart. So I'll just get some scratch paper because I'm going to go off the edge, and I'm using mink ink. Linen was just a little bit too light, and I'm going to do the lines all the way around. And I'll leave a gap in the middle, and this works out perfectly on a 3-inch square, and that will be where I'll stamp the hearts. When you're using fine stamps like this, I find it better just to use the firm side of the Versamat, because if you press down too hard, you can smush the stamp out. I'll show you what I mean in a second. So you only need a very light touch. I'll show you on this white area here. If I push down too hard, it smooshes out. So you can see that that's quite wide and splayed and not consistent. But if you do it on the hard side of the Versamat and just gently press, you're almost kissing the stamp onto there rather than pressing it on, it works really, really well. And that works the same for this little heart image here. You don't want to press too heavily. I'm going to set that aside to let the ink just dry a little bit, because I'm going to put some shimmer brush in those hearts to add a pop of colour. But because I've already pre-stamped these, I can do some colouring, and I'm using ice grey just to give a little bit of definition around the face, where the dark areas would be. I don't want to colour in the whole image. I want this to be an easy, quick project to do. Great for people who are a little bit shy of colouring in large images, but the ice grey gives just enough definition, and that will fade a bit once the ink sets in. And then I'm using pale pink, the lightest one again, and just putting a little bit around the ears. Oh, I didn't use the lightest one, I used the darkest one. Because I've done that, I'll just come in with my blender and bleach that out a little bit. So see how that's taking the colour away and making it a little bit softer. And then I want to give just some little rosy cheeks peeking out over the bottom, and come in with my blending marker. And it all looks a bit blobby when you do this. You can see the wet area, but once this dries, it will calm down a little bit. Now I'm using the lavender blend to colour the flowers. And because these are small, I'm just doing the light end and then the dark. And that's all I'm doing for that one. It's very quick colouring. And the leaves, I'm using a light grey, a light green, can't talk today. And then coming in with the dark and just adding just that little bit of definition. And that's it for the colouring. Now before I stick that on there, I need to put some ribbon round. So we'll come back and do that at the end, because then I'm going to add the shimmer brush as well. But I'm basically, because I've already got this formula, I'm going to follow this formula. So you can see here, I've got some of the images for the animals, and I wanted to use them more than once. So that's when I thought that they would make really cute little journaling cards. So I'm just going to open this up and copy along with what I've already done. And on this one here, I'm going to use the You're Adorable, which is in the same stamp set. So I'm going to pop that on here, but I'm going to mat it. And after doing all of the cutting, I've got some leftover pieces that are perfect for this. So I think I'll use this green. And I'm not going to put it right up to the top because I want a bit of this green edge to come around. So I'm purposefully placing it so that when I trim this out, you'll get more of the green pattern going around. And to adhere this down so it's easy to slip a photo in, I know just to put my adhesive at the bottom here. Because I can always slide some more adhesive back in later once the photos have been applied. So now that you've got an idea of how this is going, I'll speed everything up until we get to the part of adhering the ribbon and finishing it all off. So there's all the inside pages all adhered. So you can lay them all out like that to look at them, or you can flick through like a book. So now that I've got everything adhered on the inside, before I stick the front cover piece on, I need to adhere the ribbon. So I just need a thin beading of liquid glass across. I want to keep enough ribbon on the end to tie a bow. And then I'm going to take the piece that we coloured in before and attach that to the front. And that's our front cover. And then I'm going to wrap this around and just trim it off so that I'm ready to tie a bow. And the little hearts here, I'm going to colour with the shimmer brush. The one that you can buy now is Ballerina, which is very similar to this one. Just adds a nice little bit of sparkle. So there's the little album, all nice and ready, but I think I want to add some little dots. Now the Daisy Meadow dots are still available and they've got some gorgeous little colours that will suit this one perfectly. So I'm just going to pull out these. I've got a couple of packets. When I open them, I tend to merge the pack into one so that I've got all the dots together. And then using my piercing tool, I'm just going to apply them along the pages. So I think for this one, I'll use the pinks and the Glacier. And generally when I do this, I do 3. This one here, I'm going to put 2 little pink ones on each side. So here are these sweet little albums all ready to gift. I will probably, when I know the name of the child I'm going to give this to, I'll probably stamp it on a separate piece of white daisy and mat it, and I'll use one of our tiny alphabet stamps to stamp their name there. You can flip through and use it like a book. The little dots just add the perfect little touch, and then it just keeps going on. It's almost like a never-ending type album. Or you can just put it all out on display like this. You can have it up on a bookshelf because it will stand up nicely, and you'll be able to see all the photos and the little stories. So you can have many options with this. And this is the other version that I flipped through before. And adding this little flap at the end just finishes it off nicely. Now to tie these, I just stand them on their ends and just make a very simple bow. So once I've tied that knot, I turn it sideways so that my bow will run vertically. So there are the 3 little albums that I've made using this technique. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen today. It's a little bit different from doing a scrapbook page or a little book. This formula could definitely be used in any of the little mini albums that we have, the Story by Stacey albums. You could do this in a 4x4 album. You could do it in a 6x6 album. And using the same pattern paper throughout, it all coordinates really, really well. But I do love how these are a little bit more interactive and fold out like a concertina, and you can stand them on their sides on a bookshelf for display to see everything that's within. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.